Story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't be lonely, won't you start all your reading? I just can't wait to be hearing.
Welcome to Storytime. Yes, it is Friday and the Friday jig is back. Thank you so much for joining me on Storytime today. I am so happy that we are here together. Please, as always, let me know where you're joining in from and who is joining in with you. Happy Friday indeed. We have a wonderful book to read together today, and this one is called Does It Rain Food? Yes, this one by Jonathan Marshall and illustrations by VISOEALE. And I am excited for this one. And if you remember Jonathan Marshall, well, he brought us I'll Be Right There. Yes, this one that was illustrated by Julia Orthy. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Welcome. And I hope that you are comfortable. I hope that you are safe wherever you are. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning into Storytime, waking up early, or indeed maybe staying up a little bit later, avoiding that afternoon nap. We're here for you. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. How are you? Please let me know where you're joining in from and who is joining in with you. Thank you. Good morning to you, Rocco and Chriselle. How are you doing today? Yes, indeed, it's Friday. Yes, absolutely loving it. I hope that you get a restful weekend, and I hope that you get a lovely Friday to begin with. Thank you so much for being here. Rocco, Clay, Chriselle, and of course, Rocky, good morning to you as well. Thank you so much for joining us on Storytime. Happy Friday to you. To everybody that is joining in later on after the recording, we say hello to you, and please do leave a comment below. Let us know that you are here so that we could definitely say hi to you next time we're here. Next time we're back is Monday, but please be sure to check out our archives over the weekend if you want to watch any story time. I will try to post one or two, but please do check out our archives. Many great stories in there. And of course, find these books at your local bookstore, find them at your local library, and wherever else that you find books, and enjoy some more reading. Yes, this is just the start. Dig up all those other books out there. Thank you so much. And as always, please send us those recommendations that you have. Send them to us so we can check them out here on Storytime and do our very best to bring them and share them as well. Thank you for being here. Good morning to you. And without much ado, today I want to introduce our guest. And we did this. This is a video I did with him last night, but we're going to be showing it today, and I hope that you enjoy it. Oh, good to know, Rocky. Oh my goodness, yes, thanks for that. Now I know. Well, we're still saying hi to him at work, right? All right. I love it. Thank you so much for joining in. Oh my goodness. Oh yes. Oh, thank you. All right. So we are joining in today. We will be getting started with a beautiful, beautiful book story that we have with Jonathan Marshall, who's visiting Storytime, and I hope that you enjoy it. Without much ado, I will take you to that video, and then we'll be back also after the conversation that I had with him and share some more. So here we go with Jonathan Marshall. Let me just try and pull up that video right now. Just hold on with me. All right, here we go. Can I do this? All right, all right. Come true. Oh. Yes, all right, here we go. It is here. All right, I will see you on the other side of this video. Thank you. Story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing. Good morning and welcome to Storytime. Thank you for joining me. Happy Friday to each and every one of you that is joining us today. Thank you so much for being here. And as you know, this week has been amazing. So many independent authors that we've been able to talk to, so many creators that have come to Storytime. And today is extra special too. We have another creative person coming in to join us. And today we have Jonathan Marshall, who will be joining us on Storytime. So I am glad that you are here with us. Happy Friday. Please leave your questions for Jonathan below. Let us know, and I'll be sure to send them on forward, and hopefully we get answers for you back and whatever you want to inquire about. Thank you so much for joining in. And of course, do join us after the reading for a conversation and get to learn a little bit more about Jonathan's craft and of course the amazing work that he's put out for us so far, and so much more to come. Today we are going to be reading this one. Does it rain food? A great question indeed, one that gets us all thinking. I'm sure it certainly does get me thinking. And this one is by Jonathan Marshall and illustrator, let me see if I can get this name correctly, VISOEALE. I'm laughing at myself right now, but I hope I did it. Thank you for joining in. Great story coming up. And of course, you remember on Monday and before that, we had read I'll Be Right There. Yes, the heartwarming book, the one that just makes you feel so comfortable, so much loved. This one is a good one. It is definitely a Storytime favorite, and I'm glad that we're able to share this one. And of course, have Jonathan Marshall with us here today. Without much ado, I'm going to bring on our guest today, and we're going to have a wonderful conversation, and of course listen to him read the book, and of course talk a little bit more about himself, and of course everything else that he's been doing and what his inspiration is for all this amazing work. Thank you so much for joining us. Please let me know where you're joining in from and who is joining in with you. And you know what, if you're joining in alone, you are still welcome. Storytime is here for you, and please do send in those recommendations as well. I know know that you have amazing books that you know about that I may not know about, please do send them my way. Inbox, send them to me. Let me know so we can bring them, and I will do my very best to bring them here to story time. So please do send those, and of course, let us know how you are doing today and how the weather is where you are. Welcome to story time. Please join me in welcoming our guest for today, the amazing Jonathan Marshall. Welcome to story time.
Thank you for having me. Best
Awesome.
in the world. How you doing, good sir? How you doing? Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Yes.
Awesome. Glad to be here. I'm excited to be here.
I am glad you're here. This has been another one. I was telling Kamaria Lofton, who I talked to yesterday, I was like, that was one that was a long time coming. We'd been trying, messaging here and there, trying to get together, and somehow it didn't work, but it worked yesterday, and here we are. Another one that was elusive.
Thank you. I know it's funny. It's, we all end up getting busy, but it's awesome when you can actually make time and catch up with people. So it's been a while, but it's been good to catch up with you. So I'm glad to be here.
And where are you joining us from today?
From the Philadelphia area. So if you're around Philadelphia, PA,
yes,
heard of Wayne, that's where we are right now. So
that's awesome. Yep. That's awesome. How's the weather like today out there?
So surprisingly, like it's midwinter, but it's like 90 degrees. It feels like that's about 50. It's about 50. So
I was like, you got me there. First, I was like, oh wow.
No, that would have been a little.
I was like, I don't know whether to be happy or to be like,
Yeah, it's kind of confusing when you walk out. You're like, oh, you have your sweater, you have your coat on, and then you walk out and you're sweating. So a little confusing.
That's nice. Well, I'm glad you're here. And I mean, I love your work, so I can't wait to talk about it a lot more afterwards. And but for now, I'll let you read. I know you're reading this one for us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does it yours? So that's a big question we have.
Yeah.
I know my little ones asked this question. I don't know if you guys have this question, but when you were in your mommy's belly, do you remember the foods that she liked? And do you like the same foods? Does it rain food when mommy eats? So the little boy in this story has the same question. When his mommy is pregnant with his little sibling on the way, he wants to know, what is his sibling eating? And when she eats and the food goes in her mouth, is it raining food on the baby? Let's find out. All right. So the story starts. Guess what? My family's going to have a baby. I think it might be a boy or even a girl, maybe. I can't wait to rock the baby to sleep. With all this excitement, I wonder, what do they eat? Mommy told me that when she eats, the baby eats too. So now I'm wondering, does it rain food? What do you think? Do you think it rains food? While mama's eating candy, does it rain jelly beans? Or if she eats a vanilla cone, will there be mountains of ice cream? So many questions. Is the baby swimming in milk? Or surfing in juice? Do mango trees grow whenever mommy eats fruit? If mommy eats something cold, will the baby need a jacket? Or if she drinks something hot tea, will the baby wear shorts and sunglasses? With the weather out here, I probably need shorts and sunglasses as well. I wonder if the baby throws away pickles and keeps all the berries. Who in here likes pickles and who likes berries? Surprisingly, I actually like pickles. I know. Don't judge me. I bet the baby will love cupcakes topped with cherries. I hope the baby loves cheese because I love cheese too. With all of this food, I wonder, how do babies chew? Will the baby be just like mommy who loves corn? I guess I'll ask the baby when the baby is born. The end. Or is it? It's nice to finally meet you. What was your favorite food? So right here, the baby's finally actually born now, and he's asking his little sibling, his little sister, what was her favorite food? So you could ask your siblings if mommy's pregnant right now. When they finally get here, ask them what was their favorite food when they were in mommy's belly. They might not be able to answer just yet. You just imagine what it is.
Oh, yay. I love that. I love that question. I swear from the time you sent me that cover after the cover reveal, I was like, oh my goodness, this is a question that is really getting me to think here. And for a moment it was funny because I was thinking to myself, like, does it rain food? Like, because despite knowing all knowing all the biology and everything, but I was just like, for a split second, I was like, wait a second.
I wonder how that's. So it's funny. My boys. So I have two sons, and they even they're 11 and 8, and they ask themselves the same question. Like, but I know the answer to this as well. But mommy loved mangoes. I love mangoes. Something had to happen with this mango thing.
Yeah.
How do you rain food? I'm like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. So, no, you just have fun with it, though. So
yeah. And, these are great stories. And even this one, that is the two that I have here, too. I'll be right there. I love it. I love it. And, I was just like, I think it is one of those, like, even just in the back, the way you say, those words can mean a lot for little ones. And I want to say for grown-ups too.
Yeah.
And for things that seem big and scary, how awesome is it to know that someone will be there for you? Like, it's just, so what inspires you, because looking at these two books, they seem very different. What inspires you?
So actually it's my children inspire me. So every child that I have, it's not a lot of children, but every child that I have has a book that's dedicated to them. But it's around our conversations, just things that we've talked about as being a dad. And what inspired, I'll be right there was I was a dad of color. And I didn't find at the time when my little ones were little, they're still little, a lot more little than they are now. I didn't have a lot of books that I could read to them that had people that look like me when I'm reading to them. So I wanted one to have something that I can share with my children. Yeah. But I wanted something that other dads could have that they can share with their children as well. But also just a reminder as us as parents, like a lot of times we forget, that our children need us. They're still little. So I wanted that reminder for the children to remind themselves like, hey, my parents can be there for me, but also remind parents like your children need you. Yeah. And Does It Rain Food kind of came from I just actually had a baby girl in September.
Congratulations! Yes. I'm surprised you're still awake right now.
Barely. I'm struggling right now. But it actually started at, we were talking about, she was on her way, and this book came from just the idea of knowing that she was on her way, and just thinking like, I wonder if we're just joking around like, having jokes with my kids, and we're like, yeah, it's probably raining food on her right now. And it's like, move forward from there. So it's just the idea of taking like a creative thought and moving it forward and trying to, see what, how can you have fun with it? So
that's amazing. And just, like for people who are just, can you just run us through what books do you have or have you done so far?
I'll Be Right There was the first book that I wrote.
Yeah.
That came out in 2019. And then Does It Rain Food actually came out in September. And then I have one on the way called Me and My Kazoo at the Zoo. So that'll be out in February.
Yeah.
So, so I'm super excited because I think the biggest thing that I like about it all, especially being an independent author, was being able to share this experience with my children. So every book is actually actually comes out on their birthdays.
Oh wow!
So they get to have something to say like, oh, I have a book that actually came out on my birthday. and that's about me. So
Yeah.
so they all get to enjoy that and say like they have something. So that was important to me to not just share something with everybody else
Yeah.
in the world, but also just to share something intimate with my children.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Yeah, I love that. I was talking to Kamaria yesterday, as like learning so much more too about just those connections that were there, either with other, like other creators, and how like maybe that influenced what she was then doing, and just to hear you also having those other connections that like for us looking on the outside, you might not know. No matter how
Yeah.
much you love the book or celebrate the book, you might not catch on some of those like sweet, really, like deep connections that are with the book.
Yeah, a lot of times, it's pretty cool. So it all, I always had a love for reading. And we've talked about this before, but we talked about yours, where your love for reading started. My mom was the same thing. When I was young, she used to buy me. It's gonna sound weird, but National Geographics. Like I would have every book of National Geographics and encyclopedias, and I just had like this love for like reading when I was young. And then
Yeah.
I went into comic books, into the actual books, and then I was into poetry when I was young. So that's why most of my books are rhyming books, because I realized, one, rhyming books are just fun, and then also two, it's easier for young people to learn with rhyming patterns and things like that. So yeah, just with the love of reading myself, and then a love of reading to my children. I want to be able to, wanted to be able to share that with other people too. So
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And also, being a parent, and also just with also your journey in writing. I mean, it's like so many, those two worlds coming together. And I just from listening to you, get this sense of growth and moving forward. So how have you grown, or how do you feel you've grown in the time that you've, from the time you became a parent, but also the time you've been producing these books?
So it's funny, they're very similar, because when you first have your child, your first child, you don't know anything yet. You're still just learning. You have the desire to be a parent, but you don't, so you just actually have to live it. And as you live it, and as you dive into it more, you start to see areas of growth in yourself, and then you also see it in your children. You get excited and you want to continue on, and have more children, or just
Yeah.
to strive to be a better father as I continue to do. And it was the same way with writing, right? It was just that I didn't know I didn't have the intentions. My intentions weren't to write a book to actually publish. It was to write a book to share with my children. And my wife was like, "Hey, why don't you try publishing it?" And from that, me not knowing, I know I started this author journey not knowing, and I still don't know a lot. I'm not, I'm not there, but not knowing.
No, you're here. You're here. We see you. We see you. No.
Yeah. So it started like just that desire to like, okay, well, let's do that. And then I think that, to be honest, like the reception that I received from each book has been like, it's encouraging. To say like, that there are people that like stories, that are people that like to share their experiences with their children, and that's the main thing I wanted. Like when I'll be right there when it came out, I just wanted parents to say that they enjoyed it with their children.
Yeah.
The dads to say like, I have a book that I could read with my son or daughter now.
Yeah.
And that was amazing to me. And same thing with like Does It Rain Food, just like the idea of being able to share it with families and share them to share it with each other is that's the main reason I do it, just for the love of being able to see that happen. So
yeah. No, but I love that. And honestly, like I'll just add on to that too. Like I've just, from the other side, like feel like your books, I've connected with them, and just like they bring so many memories of my own childhood, or just my own curiosity about things, and like it's just really feels good. And sometimes, especially because like being so far away from Zambia, at times like you long for that, like the certain relationships that you miss and so on. And like as much as I've built community here, there's still times where it's just like, oh, like there's some friends that I'm just so close with, some cousins, people that love that you don't get to see, and to just think of a book like, say, I'll Be Right There, and it just takes me back to this moment where like, what, those people are there with me, they're here, they're like, and build, whether we talk on text. And so it's just like there's so many ways that I connected to it as an adult. And I'm pretty sure out there too, like there's so many things, so many other people that connect with them in those ways. So it's amazing that when you're writing, you might, like have a certain audience in mind, but they seem to transcend. And
yeah. I know. It's funny. So actually, I have bracelets that actually come with the "I'll Be Right There" book, and the bracelets say "Be there for someone today," and it was more so that was important to me because, just as as just someone who lives, but also as a former teacher, as a former social worker, as a current person in higher ed. The thing you realize is that we live in today and age is so like quick, fast, and I wanted us to have the mindset to slow down for a moment and be there for somebody who may need you today. And you never realize, like just like I was saying earlier, you never realize like how important your time is spending with somebody, just how important you can make their day be just by saying hi or smiling or just be there, just listen, or just to take the time. You don't even have to talk sometimes. A lot of times we feel like to say things. It's just being present. So, the books, I always want these books to like kind of give an idea of families to be, to be together and be present with each other and then embrace each other. And being present is not always like physically present, but just like if I'm on the phone with you, I'm being present with you on the phone.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and you find too, like with things like being present on the phone and stuff, sometimes like that conversation when it's had, it's been building up. Like somebody has thought of you. You find like you've been. At least it happens to me too. Like sometimes I'll be thinking of my sisters or this, and I'll just be like thinking about them, and then eventually, I'll just, you know what? Let me just call. So, but there's been that, and like you're saying, it's so important to take that time to slow down and just consciously remind ourselves to slow down.
Yeah,
because I feel like it's so easy to just get in that rut and just keep
moving.
Yeah, not true. Also, like we talk about, your inspiration being your kids and so on. But when you were growing up, who were your inspirations, or what? What?
So I would say probably my mom. I would say my mom was my inspiration. I grew up in a single family home. So my mom worked hard to make sure that that I had everything I needed, both as far as a roof over my head, but also made sure that she realized, just being honest, I was a black boy who lived in the city, and she wanted to make sure that I had everything that I needed to be successful in today's day and age. Black boy in the city, and so she was my inspiration. She knew I had a love for reading, so she would like go out of her way to like make sure that it was this farmer's market that was like, we lived in Camden, New Jersey, right? And it was this farmer's market that was like maybe 30 minutes from where we lived.
Oh, wow.
And we would always make the trek there every Saturday morning, and I would always get like comic books, or I would get like Goosebumps or whatever it was at the time. I would have books. And even us, even though we didn't have a lot at the time, I never felt like I missed anything. And just that the idea of that was important to me, and I even want to instill that with my own children. It's just like, things don't always give you, the value. It's just the people who are around you who give you value. So
absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure. No, that's thanks for sharing that. And like I know that in addition to writing, which also I think influences your writing in a way as well, you do other work. You've done social work. You've worked, like with children in education. And so what do you do, or how have those, like what's been your path? How have those things, kind of shaped your life as well?
So it's funny. Like, I'm a firm believer in whatever you did before prepares you for the next thing. So graduated from college, I taught, and I taught for third grade, and then from there I went on to social work, and the skills that I learned within teaching in the classrooms, I was able to talk to students whose families were going through a lot. So I was able to translate that. And now, I currently work I'm a college advisor for education students.
Yeah.
So now I currently work with students who are going into the teaching field and kind of like letting them know, like, hey, this was my teaching experience.
Mm-hmm.
These are the ways you can go about, the students, these are the things you can think about. These are things I experienced as a social
Mm-hmm.
worker. So the things you be aware of while you're in your classrooms. Things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, like every experience in life can prepare you for the next one if you're available and you're willing and you're paying attention,
Yeah.
and you're willing to share any information that you've obtained before with whoever else needs it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. No, that's I love that. And then too, like, have you found, like, do you coach? I know that you're advising, but do you ever take on like people under your wing, as in like a kind of a culture mentor role in
So it's funny. I still talk to a good number of my students who I taught. I still talk to a good number of the, I hate to use the word clients, but like when I was a social worker, I still talk to a lot of the youth that I work with.
Yeah.
Or like who are grown now, which I feel kind of old. So, but but I still talk to them, and still hang out with them. So it's been cool to be able to see them in their highs and their lows, and even still walk with them now. And even now, even though I work with adult students, right? But even those students, I still, I think the most exciting time for me, which is kind of funny, is not even a conversation. It's like graduation and watching the students that I know we've talked about. We've sat on the phone. They've cried and they've talked, and I was good to see them walk across the stage.
Yeah.
That's exciting for me. Like being able to see them fulfill something that they've been working towards, and then also knowing that they're going to pay it forward because they're going into teaching and they're going to reach out to the next generation as well. So yeah,
that's so powerful. And many times I'm sure people too joining in out there, people do things or say things and you don't realize that impact, how far reaching it is, because there's so many things that sometimes I go back to. I remember what somebody told me, and so just thinking too, as you're sharing, having those conversations, like sharing your experience, knowing that as people move forward, that they're carrying a part of that with them, whether they're thinking about it in the time or not. And now, like just thinking of that far-reaching advice that is there that you've planted. And
so that's why even like once again coming back to the books, like I'll be right there, that reminder of like somebody being there for somebody, but also your responsibility of be there for people too. That's something I hope people take with them. So in the day where somebody else is in need, you're reminded like somebody was there for me, so I should pay it forward and do that for somebody else. So that's always the goal is each one teach one, reach one, right? So once you get it, it. Us as a person who has this information or whatever it's information or experience, share it with somebody else, because you never know who may need it and when they need it.
Right. No, that's so powerful. And I know that your books came out, they're pretty recent. Have you been able to do author visits, or have you been able to visit classrooms? How has that experience been like for you? Or
so it was kind of crazy. So I actually started. So I'll Be Right There came out in November 2019. So I started doing author visits in classrooms. And like probably January, February of 2020, and then the world shut down in March of 2020. So so after that, I was able to do like a lot of virtual visits, with Parks and Recs or different schools and things like that. And now that schools have opened back up, it's been a little bit more difficult because of my schedule, because I do work at the university. So, but my goal is like, to try to find time in the new year to try to actually schedule some time to do some author visits within the classrooms now that, we're able to go back in. So, but I have been doing like book fairs and things like that. But
Well,
haven't had
story time has to come to Wayne soon.
yeah, man.
We have
Right,
to
it's funny,
get
we're
that
right-
in park somewhere.
We're literally right next door to you know what? We're literally right next door to a library, so we can actually take out some space in the library and do it there.
Oh, that would be so awesome! Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, no, I would love to do that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'll keeping putting that on the list as well.
Bucket list.
So, what is something that has surprised you about your author journey, or like just something that has whether surprised you in a good way, hopefully it's a good way, or something that has surprised you where you're like, oh my goodness.
So, other than like, I guess what feedback would say would be, feedback and support, I think would be the fact that there are so many other indie authors, and not just be authors of color, who are not just, and also male authors of color. Like I said, when I was reading books to my children, I didn't have a lot of books from people who look like me. So it's cool to see so many now, and then also not just that, but also to connect with them too. So I think that's been the coolest thing, is just like it's been cool to connect with other people who are creative and who want to support you, but also that you want to support as well. And it's cool to have that collective vision to see, like, so I'm also a photographer as well. And in the photography world, a lot of times you see like this competitiveness, like this is mine and that's yours. Like,
Oh, I see.
that's not you're right here. Yeah. But with the photography, but with this, I've seen more collaboration and us working together, us talking. I have questions, I'll ask you. You have questions, you ask me.
Right.
So it's the level of support is a lot different.
Yeah.
So.
No, I see that, and shout out to my friend Rose Collins in Portland, and she even now is running a group like where she leads different ways her writing process, and she says, "Oh, can you write? Like I'm now doing this part, or this is how you can do this other part, and so on." And just like looking at the way she approaches writing with just like such systems in place, is like, oh yeah, like. There's people that do it so differently, and sometimes you're like, oh, I think of this idea. What am I going to do with it? And so just looking at that, I've not been able, because of just how crazy it's been the last few weeks, not to be able to join into those discussions, but I've still been observing them from a distance because I'm tagged in those things and I'm part of the groups. And so it's just really been interesting to see. And but like you're saying, it's that collaboration and that willingness to help. And even just in talking to different authors too, a lot of times people say, yes, if you need advice on this, just talk to me or this. And it just feels like that. Like people want you're part of the community, I think, for sure.
Yeah, it really is. Like, it really does feel that way, of like, people wanting you to succeed. And I think like, just that's the biggest thing that has been encouraging to me, is just like, not just people enjoying my stories, but other authors like saying, "Oh, this is awesome. How can I support you? How can I help you? Share this message, or let people know about something." And I think that's probably the biggest thing that that kind of like stood out to me. So.
Yeah. And how have your own kids, taken to these gifts that you've given them? These babies that share birthdays with them.
Yeah. So it's funny. So it's actually been really, really awesome. Like, it's something that they can tell their friends about. Like, hey guys, I have a book that's about me and it's on my birthday.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time. Going to my boy's school, and like students actually like saying, "Hey, Mr. Marshall, hey, you wrote a book." I'm like, how do you even know? I didn't even put two and two together that the school had the books.
Oh wow!
The kids were reading books, so it was pretty cool. They're like, "Oh, you're the author, Dad." I said, "That's your dad?" Like, I felt like the cool dad. I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's me, cool dad." Not always the cool dad option, but yeah, I got the cool.
I love that. Yeah,
yeah. So it's been amazing to share that experience with them, and like I said, not only has it like been that experience, but they also have like got an enjoyment in writing themselves.
Yeah.
But just seeing how, because we sometimes out at night I'll be working on other projects or other books and things like that.
Yeah.
And I'll like read it to them, like they're like, yeah, that works. No, that doesn't work. And so them helping me with my creative process, and then just me having the discussions with them about theirs is pretty cool now too. So yeah, that's fun.
No, that's pretty awesome. Well, just reminding people who are joining in today too that we are with author here, Jonathan Marshall, and please remember to follow his works. Just follow what he's doing. You can find him on Instagram, and his website will be up very shortly as well, so we can then follow that as well. And so you can find him on Instagram at the handle at Wrought by John. And then, of course, you can also find him on Facebook at the I'll Be Right There book. And if you're trying to see that, this is that I'll Be Right There. So please do find Jonathan Marshall and follow him. And also, if you have any questions, please drop them below. Be sure to ask. I will make sure to get them to him. Yes, and also keep pestering him for the feedback. But yes, this is our author for today, and we have amazing books that are out. And please go back and see what read the book, see him read the book on the early part of the video, but also find the books where you find books. I've been lucky, honestly, to get these books and just have them here with me. And it's books that I know I've gone back to many times and I've read in my own classroom as well. And I encourage you, these are great gifts as well, as we are in these seasons of giving. So do check them out. But Jonathan Marshall is here with us today. And Jonathan, too, like, how are you finding balance between writing, family, work, all that? And I'm sure, too, because you write, you have authors that you work. So coordinating that, how are you finding that balance in life? We talk about slowing down, but it doesn't seem like
yeah,
you're in the slow lane here.
so it's funny how I did. So I approach that with the same way I approach books, is I start with the big picture and I work my way back. So the big picture for me is family, right?
Yeah.
So making sure that I have priority for my family, and then I work my way back. Like, all right, family has this time. You guys have this time set to you. Not just like that all the time, but like our family is going to have dedicated time. My work has dedicated time. I have work hours. That's how it is. And even at my work, my job, I'll let people know, let my students know, like, hey, like during these hours, I'm not available because I'm spending my time with my family.
Yeah.
And it's usually what happens is I like have either set days that I work on writing, or I have cell phones. So, I'm usually writing stories in my phone.
Wow.
Sometimes I'm on the way to bed and I have it pops in my head and
an idea.
Yeah, an idea pops in my head and I'm like, because I know I'll forget it before I sell. Yeah. So it's usually like writing is, other than my set times, it's just sometimes creative things just come to you. So I'll tell people, like, have something available to you at all times, because you never know when that creative thought comes, and how I've had thoughts that I've had and I've lost them. So
yeah, no, that's true. That's
true. So I think that's probably the biggest thing, is just making sure that you prioritize.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Great advice. I think in life, just setting those priorities. And I appreciated too. Recently, one of my professors did put out a it was this the one with where you put the bigger chunks first, and then you add the sand and everything, and seeing how it fit, and then and it's something that but it was still good to see and be reminded of how like, where do we place these blocks in our lives? Where do we place these, like the smaller things and the finer things and so on? And it's just like I appreciated it, and like you're talking now, it just took me back to that as well. It's like, oh yeah, it's so important.
I think a big thing is also for me is defining what's important too. A lot of times we don't really once again, prioritizing is be prioritized by defining what's important. So the things that are important to me, like the most important is my family. So everything falls under that umbrella of how can I make things work by basing around that. So
no, that's pretty awesome. And like I appreciate the time that you've taken to spend with us here, and I like with the time difference and just making it work. I really appreciate that. And I hope
same,
that
same.
everybody out there, I know that everybody that is joining in out there will appreciate this. And also from, I think, a writer's perspective and independent writer's perspective, I think there are many people out there that are trying to do it or contemplating it, or, like figuring out things. And I think learning from you is, like is part of that process. So what is something else too that you've learned? Maybe, like how do you coordinate your, with illustrators? How do you coordinate events and so on? Like how has that been for you?
So I think the biggest thing with coordinating is, once again, it's just that coming back to diving into it and finding the community. I think a big thing for authors or budding authors to do is to like I encourage them to meet other authors, like get around people who are doing what you want to do to make yourself better. So I think that's probably the most important thing, is because once you like introduce yourself to other authors, then by that term you also get to meet other illustrators and things like that.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it kind of just all falls in that umbrella of just like putting yourself out there. And I know that's tough. Like sometimes I'm defined as an extroverted introvert, whereas like I have a battery, so that's my battery.
Good.
So, but the reality of it is like I had to like really struggle with like reaching out to people and like so after reaching out to people and starting collaborating with people, you get a chance to meet individuals. People will reach out to you, and illustrators reached out to me. My first book actually just happened to be Julie is actually a young lady who we actually watched her grow up in church. Like we were her youth leaders at church.
Oh,
and
wow.
I knew she had a gift for illustration, and she knew my voice. So I was like, I'll ask you because I know you have a relationship with my kids, and I know you know how I feel about my children. And as you see, like it was amazing.
No, it's an amazing book, honestly.
Yeah.
It's one that really caught my eye, and it's such a soft.
Yeah.
It has a soft feel to it, a gentle feel to it.
Yeah, it's back when I had hair, as you see. But yeah, that was important to me. It was like that aspect. So I think relationally, a lot of things are important. Like, having a relationship with an illustrator is cool, but sometimes you won't have that. I mean, sometimes you won't be like best buddies, but having somebody who understands your vision or sees your vision somewhat similar to what you do is important too. So
no, that's amazing. And then the name that we cannot pronounce. How did you meet?
So it's funny. So I actually found him on Fiverr.
Oh.
So I don't know. Years ago, I used Fiverr for my logo for my photography business, and I was like, let me just try Fiverr again. And I'm particular about my illustration. Won't even lie, I'm real particular about it. So, so what I did is, and I suggest this to authors if they're thinking about this too. I don't know if they have if you have the means to or not to. But what I did is I set aside a budget, just to find an illustrator that I liked. So I set aside, so I'm gonna spend X amount of dollars to find an illustrator that I liked, who connects with my vision.
Yeah.
And if I showed you my phone now, I have a list of maybe 10 different covers of Desert Rain Food.
Yeah.
And from those 10, I really went through and was like, we sat down, I talked to my wife, I talked to other authors and other illustrators.
I'm looking at it now and trying to see.
So I had other authors and other illustrators who had I got their input and was like, hey, what do you guys think about this? And I showed them like different designs, and they were like, I like this one, I like this one, I like this one. I said, me too. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't just me.
Yeah.
And after I narrowed it down to who I actually wanted as an illustrator, I actually sketched out everything. My sketches are terrible. Don't judge me. But I sketched out I sketched out everything because I had in my mind already, like I already visualized like how I wanted it to look.
Yeah.
And then once I, sketched it out and I sent it to him, he was like, "All right, I got you," and he sent me the sketches back, and like I smiled for like 37 minutes. Like I was
Oh yeah,
smiling.
like this is yeah.
Yeah. So,
Oh.
so I don't. I'm not saying everybody has to do it that way, but it was important to me, the
Yeah.
illustration, because I read books to my children, so visually, as a photographer, I think I see things visually, and I wanted to one have a book that had my children of color represented in it, and then also that looked appealing visually, that
Yes.
the colors popped, that they actually like the pickle, like when it says I don't like pickles, like I wanted the actual pickle in his hand, and it was amazing to see the pickle
Yeah.
in his hand. I was like, yes, you made a pickle. So and that's it may sound small or minuscule to some people, but that was important to me because I wanted whoever's reading to put the two and two together. Like I don't like pickles, so I wanted to have like a pickle tossed over a trash can.
Yeah.
Those are important to me. So I think that's important to any author who's doing a children's book, is to help the visualization, like help to paint the picture of your story
Right.
as you're telling it. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. No, I like that, and it is definitely a thought, and one of the things I think that people appreciate with independent authors, because you do have a lot more flexibility.
Mhm.
If you have, and like you were saying, if you have the means, you're able to do it. Yeah, it's a great idea. I love it, and I think it is that having that input in those as well, in like bring out your vision, because I've asked people before, it's like, how is it when you see those images come back to you, say, oh, your book come to life when your words, does it, like how does it match up with what you were thinking?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, that's already wisdom on its own, but any other words of wisdom before we say goodbye today?
Um, I think I just want to encourage everybody who's even thinking about it. I would say one, um, reach out to somebody who's already doing what you. I said that already. Like reach out to somebody who's doing
Mm-hmm.
what you're trying to do, and
Yeah.
um, and don't just give up with one. I can tell you the amount of emails or messages or chats that I sent to people who maybe
Yeah.
not responded, and um, that's okay. Not everybody's going to respond to you. Not everybody's going to, people, always wondering intentions. But I would say, like, know deep in your heart what your goals or what your intentions are, and move forward with them. That's probably the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is your purpose behind it all, and move forward with it.
Right, right. The perseverance. No, I appreciate that. And I'm sure, like everybody that's joining in appreciates that too. And, like I know that that's, like, um, such an important lesson for life, even for our little ones, as we're going on, as we're going through life. Like, not every things won't work all the time, but also it
Mhm.
doesn't mean we give up at that point. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And, anything else coming out? Oh, I know that we have me and my kazoo coming,
Mhm.
but is there anything else that you've already kind of been like, well, I think this should be out soon?
Yeah. So I would say, so me and my kazoo at the zoo comes out in February 6th.
Mhm,
That's my son's
mhm.
birthday. But be on the lookout. Be on the lookout for the summer as well. So I wrote, it's a couple of stories, but the next one's going to come out is if my dad can, so can I.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's actually a fun story. It's actually a fun
yeah.
story.
No, I'm intrigued. I
Yeah,
want to I want to see it.
yeah. So it's a fun story, but um, and a long story short, like it's a little boy who just wants to be like his dad, and I don't want to put too much out there, but it's a fun story though.
Yeah. Oh no, I love it. Okay. No, I'm excited to hear about that. And again, congratulations on this work that you've put out. This, I'll be right there is a storytime favorite. Like I think when I start doing stickers, there'll be hopefully we can have a storytime sticker on there. And this one as well. Does it rain food? Definitely
Yeah.
makes me chuckle every time, makes me
Thank
laugh
you.
and think for sure. And I can't wait for what's coming. And
Yeah. It's
yeah, yes, yes.
already ready. So you're just waiting for February. So
Yeah, no, thank you. And hopefully, like we'll have you back again here on Story Time. Please
whenever.
open doors for you anytime you feel like, just let us know and we'll create space.
Thank you for all you do too.
No, thank you. Thank you. Like it's been amazing for me to connect with so many creators and just so many kids too that join in and just that want to read, that want to hear stories, that want to share their stories. And so it's motivation for me every time. It's just like, oh, that like those amazing kids out there, and hopefully too we're learning from each other. And thank you so much.
No, thank you. Like I probably said this before, but your book, the books on here may be the only books that they ever see or hear from. So just to continue to do the work that you do, just in the sense of exposing the children to literacy. So
yeah, no, appreciate that. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Everybody joining in today, happy Friday to you. And this has been our conversation with Jonathan Marshall, author of amazing books, and of course, two that now I Will Be Right There, and of course the one that we read today, Does It Rain Food? Thank you so much for sharing these wonderful books, and of course your wisdom as well, and we wish you the very best in everything that you're going to be doing. So everybody that is joining in, please remember again, like we said, Jonathan Marshall will be his website will be up very shortly, and we can join in and follow along with what he's doing, his journey as a writer, his journey as an author, creator. Do follow that. And of course, too, if you have any questions, please do feel free to ask, and we will try and get those answers for you. And of course, remember the amazing books, I Will Be Right There, Does It Rain Food? And of course, coming out in February, this amazing one, Me and My Kazoo at the Zoo. So please do follow along and enjoy those great titles from Jonathan Marshall. But this has been story time for today. Absolutely appreciate each and every one of you. And please go out today. Have a wonderful day. We wish you a very good Friday. Hopefully this sets you up well for the day. But also, if you're going to bed, if it is late where you are, hopefully you have a wonderful night out there. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. This is what Storytime is here for, connecting with amazing people, amazing creators, and of course, learning together. Thank you so much for being here. Have a lovely day, and I will see you this time on Monday for another great lineup. And next week, we will be celebrating Christmas, and so please do join us for that one. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, please do send us recommendations of other books that we can read here on Storytime, and we will definitely make it work. Thank you so much for joining in today. This has been Storytime, sending you hugs, love, and kisses. Thank you so much for joining in. I will see you again on Monday, not tomorrow, Monday. Bye-bye.
Read me all of his stories. Read me all of his stories. Some with people that look like me, others very different from the way that I look and think. Read me all of his stories. Read me all of his stories. Some stories from far away, others right here in my neighborhood. Story time. Story time. Story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon.
Thanks everybody for joining in today. I will see you on Monday for more Storytime. This has been a pleasure being here. Thank you to Jonathan Marshall. You can see being here with us today. Enjoyed that one, and I hope that you learned a thing or two. And of course, always great advice from that man. So thank you so much for joining in. I hope that you have a wonderful day wherever you are. Hugs for me, yes, much love, and I will definitely see you on Monday. God willing, we'll be here. Please have yourself a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
lonely, won't you stop all the reading? We just can't